back, everybody. We are back.
Are we recording?
Recording.
Are we actually recording?
I don't know if this is good for the algorithm.
Welcome to the Real Estate Addicts podcast. What is it?
Asking if we're recording.
Oh,
Why?
I don't know.
The algo.
let's start again.
Welcome to the Real Estate X podcast.
This is episode something with your host, Marc Zavatsky, Choose Boston.
Ray Hurto, RH Investment Group.
Dan Rubin, RH Investment Group.
And to start, we're chatting
Breaking news.
multifamily minute.
Yeah,
Right.
A multifamily minute update
Over
based
to you.
on a couple episodes ago. Rent control in Massachusetts is dead.
For now.
It didn't get to the ballot. It was disqualified on a technicality related to religion.
So there was an exemption included for religious institutions who would not have had to comply with that ballot measure.
They would be
And
excluded.
That was kind of a fatal flaw.
And it was a fatal flaw, even though the Attorney General certified on the ballot that it seemed fine in her opinion. So Andrea Campbell probably is not very popular at the moment with a lot of tenant advocacy groups for allowing
I don't
that
know.
to
I mean, I
happen.
think she tried her best to get it to go through.
So did she?
It's not her fault.
I think she has the ability to tweak the wording from
Well,
what is
so
proposed.
she certified it, but then
Right.
who challenged it in the courts?
In the courts, it was, you guys tell me, it was, I forget who actually did the
It was a
appeal on it.
coalition of probably developers, landlords, someone to that effect.
Yeah, it was essentially challenged, right? And then it made it all the way to Supreme Judicial Court, and it was unanimous. It was a 7-0. It's not like it was split any particular party line or anything along those facts, but essentially if it had a religious exemption, in order to know whether or not that institution was religious enough or had religious functions, they would have had to go and dive into it, and they're like, nope, we're not going to do that. I think it goes all the way back to 1917, the Constitutional Convention. Religious fights were kept out of state politics entirely.
So the ballot
this has been
measure
a long
is
precedent
safe
for this.
until 2028.
The ballot measure is dead. It would have to be
Yeah,
reintroduced
but
in
it can be
2028.
Yes.
So
And they had to get all new signatures and basically start over.
don't quote me on that. I didn't get that level of detail, but basically just assume what happened in the past will happen again. And maybe based on this kind of false start, there might be a little more rational thought put into the regulation rather than it being one of the strictest in the nation. The only thing I can compare it to is we're going to have a couple of years of data seeing how the rent freeze in New York goes for the regulated units. That just passed. So now all rent regulated apartments are no rent increases for 2 years, and operators are already screaming, get ready for lots of issues. And I don't blame them. I mean, can't freeze the expenses.
So so they froze the already affordable deed restricted units, or they just, what did they?
Any rent regulated apartment, and I don't know
So
the mechanism.
Section 8?
I don't know the mechanism for which they do that. I don't
Okay.
believe it's Section 8. I believe it's probably similar to our deed restricted apartments.
This is thanks to our friend
like our
Mamdani.
AMI.
Yeah.
What's that?
This is the mayor of New York.
Yes.
The communist mayor of New York.
Okay.
Mamdani.
Socialist.
Yes. Socialist, communist, they're all looking to take things they
Well,
didn't earn.
Good update, Ray. Thank you as always for the news.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Let me know when you want more of my ramblings and rants.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
We're going to go into the silver tsunami hitting our workforce, which is a topic that's been discussed some, trying to bring a new angle. And secondly, college, and is it worth it? I should kick it to you guys. You're the ones with kids. Are you saving for college?
I mean, we started a 529 plan for both kids before we had kids.
Yeah.
Like just to kind of start saving. And
Wow.
but the good news is I think now with the new 529 plans could only be used for educational purposes. And I think they've recently changed the rules, and don't quote me because I'm not a CPA or a financial planner or whatever, but I think they changed the rules where now you can actually, if you don't use it for education, you can roll a certain amount every year into an IRA.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows you to redirect those funds if your kid doesn't use it or doesn't use all of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. But from a trade standpoint, I don't I would assume that's included as education, so you can use your
sure.
520.
Trade school? Yeah.
So you can use your 529 towards trade school if my kids want to go to trade school.
Right.
I mean, I've already talked to my wife about it, and I mean, I would love my kids to go into the trades, but I think that kind of relates to what we're talking about, the silver tsunami, and like, what is the silver tsunami? So, like, just for reference for everybody, according to the National Center for Construction, Education, and Research, there's about 8 million trades folk in the United States right now. By 2031, about 41% of them are supposedly going to retire.
So that's 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Almost half the workforce gone.
So to keep up with the demand, there's going to, like, as of today, so like, it's interesting, the number of new trades people needed is like fluctuates based on kind of the current market. So I think a few years ago, I think, when the market was hot, interest rates were low, I think that the number was like over 400,000. And now they're saying, as of today, to keep up with the fall off, you're going to be able 350,000 new tradespeople entering the workforce to keep up with the demand. And I just don't, I mean, I know that there's been a push, but I don't think there's going to be, I think there's going to be a massive shortage.
It's interesting. I grew up in North Jersey, and I grew up in a suburban town where you didn't fix anything. If the light switch didn't turn the light on, like, you just called someone, similar to your engine on your car. But when I was about a freshman in high school, my family moved. We had a house in Western Connecticut, and it's much more rural. And I made a lot of friends there. And like, I sincerely credit them to this day with like changing my whole paradigm and how like I look at things, and like my willingness to just like grab a tool and fumble around and watch a YouTube video. And, so
I was just showing you all my pest control implements of destruction, since my faith in our pest control company to get a pretty bad roach situation under control was diminished. And just starting to do your own research and find out what people do and why they do it. It's not that hard. Like, most of the issues in the trades or trade related can be generally fixed on their own. And I think it also empowers people to know that they can fix some of the basic stuff. Like, when you need an electrician, great, get an electrician. When you need a plumber, awesome. But if you're trying to do something to fix something small, like, I think everyone should know how to change a sink faucet.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty complicated stuff for a lot of people, but it's really pretty simple based on how plumbing works today, as long as it's not like really outdated plumbing that requires like soldering. And the same with breakers and other things. You should know how to not swap a breaker, but you should know how to turn off and turn on a breaker, or tell somebody, help troubleshoot things a little bit. So I don't know. I mean,
it's all related. It's like, before I start a task, I like to research it and think about all the things that I'm going to need. And I have it like fairly organized in my ADHD brain. So like the tools, how this sequence, and when I attack something, like, I like to finish it.
Oh, you don't go and start like 7 other things like I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my biggest issue is that if something doesn't go to plan, I find like I'm always trying to like force a circle and a square, whereby like I should just put my tools down and go to Home Depot and get the right tool. But instead,
you just want to finish no matter what.
I just want to jerry-rig. Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah. But like, we were talking college earlier, and I guess my like hot take on college is, if you're paying for college for your child because it's a great cultural experience and you want them to get out and see the world and really grow as an adult, like, props, I get it. That actually makes some sense. And if you're that fortunate, like, golf clap, good for you. But send your kid to Europe for a year and fund that. Like, cool. But I don't
be way less expensive.
Yeah. I think that there is a tier of colleges that is still worth it. So an Ivy League school, a Harvard education, like, and primarily because of the network effect. I don't necessarily think that what you're gaining in the classroom is any more valuable than that mid-tier college, but the credential on your resume and the network you make that investment worth it if you can get into that school. Short of that, like, I went to Union College for a year in Schenectady. Union College is like pushing $100,000 a year now. It's like, I don't get it. If you have a college in your resume and you have to tell everyone you meet like where it is and a little bit about the school. Like, don't pay $100,000
I think
a year
you're
to
seeing,
go there.
like Ray and I both went to Northeastern, and Northeastern's creeping up to $100K a year now with room and board. And
Yeah, it was like 30, 35 grand a year when we started.
I think
it ended in the
30.
40s.
Yeah, it hit 30 when we started. But I think Northeastern and those types of schools are becoming much more popular because of like the co-op type programs where you actually get real world experience and you're actually making some money. And when you do graduate, you actually have a resume with real world experience that sets you apart from other folks that are graduating with no experience. So I think you're I don't know, is it justifiable to spend $100,000 for that? I don't know, but what it's worth. But I think you're seeing a lot of schools like Northeastern gain traction. Similarly, I think, Ray, you said that there are more folks going into the trades, or
I hear it anecdotally, right? So
Okay.
I'm hearing more people like, oh, I'm going to, think about being an electrician, or I'm going to do something with my hands because college, here's the thing, $100,000 for college or whatever the number might be. That doesn't matter what major you choose or what direction you go in terms of what kind of degree you're going to get. Maybe a doctorate is a little different, but if a Bachelor of Science is the outcome, right? And one person's getting a degree that has a really good job outlook, high demand, will be worth the investment. And somebody else is like, I'm going to learn history because I like history, or I'm not interested in other things. Like, what can you get paid for a history degree? What are you going to work in a museum? I don't know. I mean, it's not unimportant, but is it worth the investment, right? Like, what's the ROI on it? Just like when we're looking at a deal, what's the ROI on the deal? I don't think enough people are doing that math.
Look, I'm
when
on the
they're
board at
looking for
Roxbury
education.
Prep, and I'm usually the voice in the room.
Yeah, and another thing,
espousing
you're
this.
always on an.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that, especially, I don't know about today, but when we were growing up, I think that, going into the trades or, going into the blue collar workforce was almost like frowned upon. And it was almost, I feel that it was like a lower tier than, the white collar corporate jobs. And I don't know, like I grew up in a similar town to you, Marc, where it was like, middle upper class, like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I feel like the trades were almost looked down upon.
Oh, 100%. My dad was a carpenter, and I would be out there every summer working with him, hating it, saying I'm never going to do anything with real estate.
I think attitudes
and
shift.
now here we are.
No,
Culture
that's
shift.
what I'm saying. I think
we had the hippies in the 70s, the conservative, keep everything in the 60s.
Yeah.
And like, I think we're in a shift right now. And I also think contributing to it is the fact that the trades is a technology platform now.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be a really good plumber running an efficient, profitable company, you better have AI.
You got to lean into technology.
And make it your friend rather than just like, the guy crawling through the sewer pipe.
But in the like, to be fair, in the past, like a lot of the old school tradesfolk, they were inept when it came to technology.
Yeah,
and I think
correct.
that again,
or just
is
running,
changing and needs to change going forward.
Or just even running their business, right? Like, I would do my dad's books. He had no idea how to use Excel. He had his checkbook register. He'd be reading me everything. I'm like, Dad, do you know that you're, are you making money? Are you not making money? Like, do you know your finances?
When we started in the business 16 years ago, there were guys that we were using that could barely text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, it was mind-blowing.
I was like, Dan, why don't you put it all in writing? Like, right, they don't text, they don't do
I would
video
send
chat.
a picture, like a text message, a picture to someone via text, and like they wouldn't even know how to like look at it.
I know, it's tough. I think another thing that I'll be like reflective about is, so I got into construction vis-a-vis a construction management degree at Purdue University, and then went to work for Suffolk, like a large, very well thought of general contractor. But my hot take here, after having worked at a large, very well respected, established GC, is that to their credit, they built buildings like Ford builds cars on an assembly line, and you are responsible for this portion of the assembly line. You really don't see how the whole vehicle comes together. And that's because you are a cog in a wheel, you are interchangeable, and you have to be to offer predictable results to the customers on these massive investments. No one person can know too much. And so, like, I'm very conflicted when I think about that first step in your career. Like, do you go to like a small home builder, or do you take that job with Shawmut, Consigli, Suffolk, Turner?
But
Like,
there's not a lot of, like, there's a limited number of those jobs.
there's a limited number, and they're great jobs because of the network effect, because of the resume. It's similar to that kind of Harvard. So like, you can take that and go where you will or do what you want. But
I think going back to the argument, and I have some more data points here with going to college versus not, or getting a undergraduate degree versus going to the trade school. I think the other issue is that the median wage for college grads in 2024 was about $80K. The average wage for electrician, plumber was $62K, and the average pay for just a general carpenter out of school was only $46K.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a pretty big.
Seems so low. Maybe we're in our own bubble here.
We are certainly, and those are not the guys who own the company either.
Nationwide.
Yeah.
I think a tangent to this is also side hustles. Like everyone, real estate cash flows as a developer look like Mountain Valley. And so like, how do you have something that can sort of even out those huge ups and downs? And I think one option, I'll rep circa demo and disposal here, is to own a subcontracting business, be it a demo and disposal company, a plumbing company, an electrical company. That's certainly tried and true. They relate to each other.
Yeah.
A lot of our best subs are now also, developing properties, which is fantastic.
And I think as some of these guys are aging and want to retire and sell their businesses, there's going to be opportunities to purchase these established businesses that are credible and that have, some of the tools and people and knowledge in place that someone like us or someone that wants to get into the trades can take advantage of. It will be interesting to see what happens over the next decade when it comes to this stuff.
Maybe there'll be more trade consultants that aren't actively practicing, but will have to be able to help out, because
there are.
I think what we're seeing right now is a mix of white and blue collar in the trades. So you're seeing private equity buy a lot of these businesses, like you said, and are they adding value other than just making the process more technologically available or
any increasing
pumping
prices.
amount of ad revenue? Well, that's what I'm saying. They're jacking up the prices, but what are you really getting by that happening?
Yeah.
You're not really getting workers who kind of understand it all. I mean, if anything, it's like, oh, we're booked to 4 weeks out, or you're just going to see lead times go crazy far down the road. And I think maybe that'll bring more people back in as independents. So I think I mentioned that on the prior episode. I don't know. I think the trades are super important, and to your wage discrepancy thing, you have to factor in, if you're not paying $100,000 a year for 4 years, you're now $400,000 ahead of that person who might have a $20,000 or $30,000 a year salary difference over you.
That's fair.
What's that payback period?
That's very fair.
If you're taking out loans.
Yeah. I keep getting targeted in my algorithm for these businesses that kids/young teenagers are making. And I saw a great one the other day, but it's like 13-year-old kid in the Midwest who goes door to door and offers to clean all of your trash and recycling barrels for $10. Not per barrel, it's just $10. And he's got all of his own little power washing equipment, a scrub brush. And I love it. Just the courage to hit their doorbell and answer the door and speak to somebody, whether you get the sale or not. That's so valuable. I was having breakfast with a friend this weekend in Connecticut whose nephew does a window cleaning business. He's got all the extension poles. He uses the proper, he told me Windex isn't good. It's streaky. They use Dawn dish soap. Take that for what you will. And another business, but hopefully make a couple grand doing it. But really, I just love that for opening your eyes to sort of entrepreneurship and being a business owner.
Well, a lot of kids these days don't like interacting with other people.
Yeah.
So I think just interacting with other people is huge in today's society.
My good friend Drea's father passed away recently, and her obituary was beautiful. She told this one story about her dad who owned a painting company, and when she was 11 years old, he made her business cards, and she was vice president of paint prep. And her job was to put the blue tape on the top of all the baseboards and the trim and the casing and sand.
That's awesome.
And you took it very seriously as an 11-year-old. She had business. Like, I think that's cool. I think that's very didactic.
He's empowered him.
Yeah.
You know, he empowered him.
I just bought a book from, what's the guy from Parks and Rec? He's like, he's also a carpenter.
Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Nick Swartzen,
yeah,
is it?
His real name.
Yeah.
I bought his book. It's really cool. It's like 30 different projects you can build with your kid, your nephews in a wood shop with basic tools. And I'm planning to do a bunch this summer with my nephews, so I'll report back.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. What are some of them?
One of them is like a slapper. So it's got these 3 fan blades kind of, and if you hit someone in the back or the butt, it's really loud, but it doesn't really hurt them. So that's one that
awesome.
stands out. Yeah.
Those are cool.
These are like age appropriate, funny things.
Some of them
Things
are
that
funny.
your nephews
Some of them are cool.
very much enjoy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
All right. Well, I
Yay.
think that, I think that covers it. I mean, it would be interesting to see what happens. And, you know, if my daughters asked to go into the trades, I would not stop them at all.
100%.
Yeah. So, All right. Thank you for listening, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and watching. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Cheers. See you
Later.
Thanks.